Welcome to Diary of an Ex-Ho. This is Cheri Hardman. I'm your ex-ho, and today's guest is Belinda Carroll. So sit back, relax, enjoy the episode, and remember the old saying, always a bridesmaid when you're a hoe. All right, well, at least we're in the same Zoom room now, which is like all right, let's get started. First, I want to check what your pronouns are.
Oh, she, her.
Okay. And how would you characterize your sexuality? Like you say, I'm what?
I am a queer lesbian ID'd femme because I have primarily dated women, so I consider myself sapphic, but I have dated a lot of trans men, which makes me queer on the queer schedule.
Gotcha. Okay. I just want to put that up front. And now I want to talk a little bit about when you were young. First of all, is there anything
What do you mean, Cheri? You don't think I'm young right now?
I mean childhood young, sorry.
Yeah,
Now that you're old, no.
yeah.
Is there anything that you don't want to talk about or a subject you don't want me to bring up?
I mean, I'll just like tell you that I don't want to talk about like if it's too intense.
All
but
right.
I do have some childhood SA stuff. So obviously that I'm not gonna.
Okay. So that might be, we might have to tweak question two. We'll see. So first of all, like, are your parents together?
Oh no.
Were they together when you were growing up?
No. So my mom had me at 40, and I was conceived during a break in my parents' marriage. And so they got back to, so my mom found out she was pregnant. She didn't find out until she was like 4 months pregnant. And then my dad came back, and then they split again when I was 3, and then they were divorced by the time I was 6.
Okay.
Like 5, something like that.
Right. So do you remember them like being a couple, or were you too young? Like, do you remember them like both being together?
No, because I was before consciousness, before he left. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So did your mom ever like remarry or anything like that?
No, and in fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm so intent on talking about sexuality and women, because my mom actually divorced my dad, and then she never had another boyfriend or another partner again. And I feel like a lot of that was the stigma of being a woman over 40. I think that she and I think it was on her part, as far as she'd had a couple of marriages, and so I think that she felt like once you strike out twice, you can't, and so I feel like she kind of like curtailed her own need for like romantic companionship because of the kids, and then also because she was over 40, and how could a woman just be so wanton over 40? She had a lot of Christian baggage.
Is she no longer with us?
Oh yeah, she died in 2005.
Okay. All right. So did you have any kind of like role models of successful relationships when you were a kid?
Oh, no, not really. So I've really searched, not within my family, certainly. I have been a person that has really created a family separate from my family, because my family is not functional. So, I mean, my brother has been married. My brother Ben, who's the oldest, has been married for like 20 years now, maybe, but he got married when I was in my 20s. So his marriage, but he had a couple marriages too. So
Okay. All right. All right. So this is where I don't know. Well, I'll ask the question, then we'll see if we need to tweak it. But what I like to call this is like when you had your first sexual awakening, when you realize, wait, there's something going on in this world that wasn't privy to before. This is a different question for someone who has had abuse as a child. So I don't know if what that moment was for you.
I don't actually know when that moment was for me. But I do remember, this is a sweet story. I do remember when I was a kid, I was at the I was in the auditorium and I was like I was 5 years old. I was either preschool or kindergarten, but I was one of those two. And I was in the auditorium and I had a boy and a girl that liked me in class. And I didn't know about it. And then we were sitting on the steps of the stage. So sitting on the stage steps. And they both told me they liked me, and then they both kissed me on both cheeks. And I remember that was my first like romantic where people were showing romance toward me and being
Uh-huh.
yeah. And so that was my first like kisses.
That was also your first threesome.
And also would go on to be many more threesomes. I just think I found my route between between the threesomes and also being on stage at the stage steps at the exact same time. That's my route.
Yeah. Did you have any like celebrity crushes when you were younger?
um no, yes. I mean, I loved Katie Lang. I did have a celebrity crush on her, but I didn't find out about her until I was like 14, 15. But like that's probably my first
Yeah.
celebrity crush.
Yeah.
And then for a long time I had Garth Brooks on my wall. Um but I think that was just I loved Garth Brooks as far as his music and outlook and all that stuff, and not really like it wasn't like a thing, you know? So
Uh-huh.
and Matt Damon. I just remembered that yesterday because I was listening to the Smart List podcast with Jason Bateman and
Oh,
Will Arnett
it's
and
the
stuff.
best podcast, isn't that?
It's the best podcast. Like what every podcast wants to be is that podcast. Man, I love that podcast.
That combination of people is
Yes. And their relationship,
perfection.
they can like give each other shit, but it's not like serious, and you can tell underneath they care about it. I just fucking love that podcast. It's just the best.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So
Did you watch the movie version of it? Have you
no, I
watched
haven't.
that yet?
I found out about it. I was just like not too long ago actually. I just was on Spotify and I was like, oh, Jason Bateman, I love Jason Bateman. Then I was like, oh, Will Arnett. Then I was like, oh shit, Sean Hayes.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so I was like, oh my God. And so then I started listening to it. And then I like binge listened to it. I listened to like 70 something episodes.
Well, there's a video version. I think it's on HBO. I'm not sure where it is, but
I'll check it out. Yeah.
I highly recommend it. But anyway, what's his name? Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so I had a crush on Matt Damon when I was a kid too, because I loved Good Will Hunting.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Are you serious? Robin Williams in it.
I know. I should watch it.
You should watch it. I'll watch the Smartless thing. You can watch the Good Will Hunting.
Okay. All right.
He wrote that movie with Ben Affleck, and then they got it made, and then they got it made, and then they like ended up like winning an Oscar or something.
Yeah. Really is a great story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your definition of amazing sex?
I think that there's several kinds of amazing sex. I think that there's no one like true definition, because you have like sex that's really great because you and your partner's emotional connection is really deep, and then and then the sex is accentuated because of that, and then you have like sex that's great because it's kinky and it's something you've never done before, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't do that. And then you have sex that's great because it's somebody you've always wanted to sleep with. Conquest sex. But So I think there's several different kinds of sex, but I do think that one of the kind of through lines with amazing sex is the connection to your partner. I think that when you have a good connection, whether it's like a one night stand, like just hot right that second, or it's like a deeper, like we've been together for years and whatever, and we're really connecting on an intimate level connection. It's the connection that really makes that whole situation go.
I agree. I agree. Do you remember any like scenes in mainstream movies that you've watched that you thought that is really hot?
Well, I'm going to bring up the classic and oft brought up Bound. Do you know Bound?
I don't, but somebody else said that too.
Oh, if you are interviewing queer people about anything movies, you have to watch Bound because it's
Okay.
Jennifer and Gina Gershon, and Gina Gershon is butch, and Jennifer Tilly is a mob wife, and it is so hot. It's just like up and down.
Okay.
It's great. And I've talked to straight people that were like, "That was the hottest movie." Like, I got it. Like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, since I've heard it twice now, that means I got to watch it for sure.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes. Okay. Well, yeah. Do you watch porn at all?
Yeah, I do. I actually watch straight porn sometimes, which surprises people for some reason. Um, I do not watch very much porn. My thing is that with being a lesbian and like, and I've been around the block, but I've slept with enough women to kind of be able to read their eyes. So unless like their eyes are saying like yes, let's do this, then it feels bad. Like if somebody's like checked out and they're kind of like, oh, this is a day at work, which I'm not shaming porn people because that's a very
Right.
difficult.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, unless somebody's like sincerely desiring their partner, then I'm not into it. But I do have a few favorites. So that said, there is a few of them that I'm like, yeah.
Uh, have you ever dated? Have you dated men?
No, well, I had a boyfriend in high school before I came out, and I came out as bi first, which is like pretty common, and so we dated, and then he was kind of my beard in a way because he was a guy, um, but um, but that was before like I came out officially came out, and then I've had a couple of times where I've slept with men, generally drunk,
Right.
which I don't drink anymore. But yeah, so when I drank, I had a couple of dudes that I slept with. They know who they are. And it's fine. But it's not my jam. Although I would be open to dating a dude if I met a dude that I really liked. But if I just like met a guy and I was like super into him and like I loved talking to him and like doing the things, then I'd probably be fine with it.
Right.
I've
Right.
had a, I've had a lot of partners start out as women and then end up men. That's
Huh. All right. You have any sexual regrets?
oh, sexual regrets. Yes, I cheated on a partner when I was 21 and or 22, something around there, and I really loved this person, and and it was just a big giant mistake, and so like that's the person that I think that if I wouldn't have done that, and also if I would just been in a different place in my life where I'd had therapy, that we'd probably still be together. And so I cheated on them, and then we broke up, and then um, that was it. So,
Right. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I don't have a lot of other sexual regrets. I feel like everybody that I've slept with, I've wanted to sleep with. So that's good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So we're getting to the end just of the questions. So I know I don't know you that well, but I know you well enough that if you want to say something or you think something's really important, you've got something in your head that you might want to talk about.
Sure.
And but the last question that I have prepared is there anything on your sexual bucket list that you've never tried, that you would like to try? Or have you done it all?
Uh, oh, I think I really, of the things that I want to do, I think that I've done it all. Besides having a successful long-term relationship, which is my next, like my next goal.
All right. Um, all right. Tell me about something, either something, an interesting story that's happened to you, or something that's really like on your mind right now as far as sex, or you have anything like that to tell me?
Sure. I've been going through a weird period because when the pandemic started, I was dating somebody and then I broke up with them and then I have not dated since. And so that's not true. I've dated a couple of people since, but not anything serious. But long story short, I've been celibate since the pandemic started. So I decided to get celibate because of the fact that I've been so sexually active that I was like, okay, I've got to like take a break and like do uh do myself for a while and just kind of figure out who I am as a person. And um so I've just been like doing that and that's been really interesting. So now I'm at the point where I've been like single for 3 years now and whatever, and I feel like I could start dating again. Like I'm starting to get interested in people, and like when I go out I go, oh, that person's hot, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because there was just nothing. I don't know if you've ever been through that, but just like nothing existed for a while, you know. I just was not emotionally accessible whatsoever. And so, um, anyway, and so now I'm like, what's the reentry going to be like? Because, you know, things change and you get to know yourself and like that kind of thing. But I almost feel like a virgin again. So, um, and so that's really interesting to me because I'm just like, oh, like when I flirt with people, I go, oh, I don't know if I want to go all, you know, like all the way. Like it's just so funny to me. And also like dating as like a non-drinking person because I haven't drank in like
Mm.
8 years. And so the first few years was great. I mean, you know, as far as like I wasn't having a problem. It's not a problem, but then I became uh uh so introverted sexually that now I'm like I feel like I'm at prom, you know? So, yeah.
That's interesting because I mean, I think when you go for a long time, or when a person goes for a long time without having sex, then it's like, well, you don't want to just throw that away on just anybody, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost like you've saved something up. I don't know that. Yeah, that's, but I wouldn't even know how it felt to be dating. I feel like I've been married 100 years.
Oh yeah, and I would love to feel like that. That would be great. I mean, I don't mind dating. Like I'm not one of those people that's like, oh well, you know, dating or whatever. But the thing I don't like is that when you start dating somebody and you're like, this isn't serious, it's never going to be serious, I can't get serious with anybody, and then you're like, I don't want to see you anymore, and then they're like, but why, we were dating for 2 months or whatever, and you're like, but that's what I told you to begin with. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's one of my hesitations in starting to date too, is that, and on both sides, because I'm sure that I've, you know, been too into people.
Well, it takes a while to like fully get to know somebody, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it takes a really long time, and it's like I feel like that people kind of, um, and by people I mean lesbians, rush into getting to know people, and then they're like, oh, I know this person, and then they move in together, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know. They come in with their own like fill in the blank assumptions about people. They're like, oh, this is what I'm expecting you to be like. And then when you're different than that, they're like, oh, but I thought you were going to be XYZ thing. Well, you should have checked with me because I know, I know what I'm like, you know?
That's funny because I just saw something that I wrote the other day. It must have been maybe an old Facebook status or something, but it said that the biggest mistake that I made when I was single was trying to make people fit into a certain box that I thought they were, you know.
Oh yeah,
And
and I think
yeah.
everybody does. I think that that's a really common uh into relationships is people come in with assumptions, and then when people don't match the assumption, they go, well, you have to change to match this assumption, and people are like, I'm not going to do that. So
Right. Right.
yeah. Nor
What is your Instagram handle so people can follow you?
it's Belinda Comedy.
Okay, well, that makes it easy. I'll have that like under your little picture. And then this will be out in 2 weeks. So you have anything going on right about then that you want to tell people about?
I have a regular show at in Burbank at the Good Night, and it's called Giggles, and it's a free showcase, and it's from 7 to 9:30. I do like 5 or 6 comics. I usually have a burlesque or drag guest, and then we have just like an amazing time. Joe Kay is my co-producer, which is really cool. He's really great. He's been in LA for a long time. And come see that. And there's probably other stuff. Oh, in September, I can talk about this now because it's been announced. Amy Poehler is going to have a masterclass on masterclass.com. I ended up getting cast for that. So I'm not going to tell you my exact involvement because you don't know what's going to end up on the floor and what's going to end up in the,
Right.
program. But it was really fun, and I had an amazing time. It was incredible, and everybody should watch it.
Okay, cool. Well, I will definitely be following what you're doing. It's always good to see you. It's never enough, but
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I liked you from the moment that I met you, so it's like you're cool. Well, thank you very much for being here on Diary of an XO, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.